Okay, this is a short video, hopefully, on how to install ProDoc. And in the process of installing ProDoc, you also install the companion product SOS, or Small Office Suite. Um, Installing ProDoc is usually very straightforward, especially if it's the first time you're installing it and you're not upgrading from a previous version. If you are upgrading from a previous version, sometimes it is recommended that you uninstall ProDoc and all of its components and then reinstall the new version. This is especially true if you're receiving any errors in ProDoc or SOS. So I've recorded a separate video on how to completely install ProDoc and all of its components, and hopefully you can click the link that appears now to be taken to that video if you want to completely uninstall your old version of ProDoc. If you're installing ProDoc for the first time, or if otherwise you're needing to follow this video, then we'll go ahead and get started. So the first thing we want to do is download ProDoc. So I'm going to go to our website, paralegal.edu/ProDoc. And this is where we post instructional videos on the installation process. The video that I'm recording now will replace the one that you see on my screen. And you'll also see the other video that I referred to about how to uninstall ProDoc. So ProDoc is available for students at Center for Advanced Legal Studies, and that is who this video is intended for. You do need a Windows computer, preferably Windows 7 or later. You also want to make sure that you have enough hard disk space, at least 2 gigabytes. It says 10 gigabytes, but I think you need about 2 gigabytes. Obviously, the newer your computer, the better it'll run, not just for ProDoc, but any application. You need to have Microsoft Office installed on your computer. We provide that to students of Center for Advanced Legal Studies. In particular, you need Microsoft Word, usually 2010 or later. So we'll scroll on down and you'll see a link along with the installation code and a registration code. So we're going to click this link to download the ProDoc installation file. So I'm going to click it, and it's going to give me an option to save it. So I'm going to save it. So while this is downloading, I just want to say a few things about ProDoc. One, ProDoc is provided to schools such as Center for Advanced Legal Studies by West Publishing. They own ProDoc for educational purposes. We have a fairly limited ability to support technical problems that arise with the product, although we do our best, including providing videos such as this. If you run into a problem with ProDoc, we ask that you open a trouble ticket, and we'll do our best to assist. And if we're unable to, then we will escalate your issue to ProDoc technical support staff. The other thing is, once ProDoc expires, it often will ask for a registration code. At that point, you're not able to just put in a new registration code. You have to download the new version of ProDoc and install it and then put in the registration code. So it's not as simple as just putting in a new code. You have to install the new version of ProDoc, and then you should be fine. So I'm going to let this continue downloading, and we'll fast forward until it finishes. Okay, so we have fast forwarded a little bit, and I have the version of ProDoc install or downloaded. I'm using Google Chrome, so downloads typically appear down here in the lower left hand corner. If you're using Firefox, you may have a download link up here at the top. Now, what is recommended is that when you install ProDoc, you run the installation with administrative privileges. So you don't just run it, you want to run it with elevated privileges. ProDoc requires kind of low-level access to your computer, and it's because it's a little bit older software. So instead of just clicking this to run it, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show in folder. You could do the same thing. You could just open up your downloads folder or wherever you download stuff. So I'm going to show in folder. And here is the ProDoc download. So to run it in administrative mode or with elevated privileges, instead of double clicking it, you want to right click it and then go up here to run as administrator. So that's what we're going to do. Right click the download link and click run as administrator. All right, so it asked me for permission, so I hit yes, and here I go. So I'm starting the ProDoc download. Sometimes you can, different releases of ProDoc allow you to do different things, but the first thing I'm going to need is this installation code. And so I'm going to highlight it and then hit Control C to copy it. You can also right click on it and say copy. But sometimes it lets you just paste that code in, but here recently it hasn't. I don't like typing. So anyway, this is the ProDoc installation. Thank you for choosing ProDoc. To install ProDoc 5.85 for Texas, click Next. So we're going to click Next. And it's checking, it said they're checking the registry for previous installations. That's why we went in and deleted those registry settings in the uninstall phase if you needed to uninstall it. Now here I'm going to hit Control V. It did not work. So I want to delete this. So you just have to type in this registration code, the installation code that is. So we're going to go R7RV, KY7B, DQQW, S2, XW, and S8W3. All right, there we go. We'll hit Next. And we need to install everything, so including Small Office Suite. Some classes use that. So just leave everything checked. Let me move this over here like this. Notice it says 1.47 gigabyte of space required on the C drive. So you need, say, approximately 2 gigabytes for everything. So we'll hit Next. You want to leave the destination folder as C ProDoc. You don't want to install this on your desktop or anywhere else. Just leave it right there where it is. Same thing with SOS. You want to leave it right there where it is. And we got to accept the license agreement. As paralegals, you should read all this. I've never read it. So anyway, we're going to accept the terms of the license agreement. And we're going to accept the terms of this license agreement. We do not need to install the connector for time slips. And we're going to install it. So depending on the speed of your computer, this can take anywhere from a couple minutes to up to maybe 10 minutes. So we're just going to let it zoom through it. And we'll see how long this takes. Okay, it's getting close to the end of the installation of ProDoc. It's going along nicely. And then after this, it'll install SOS. And it pretty much just automatically continues on with the SOS installation. There it goes. So hopefully this should be finishing. We have a couple new icons. We have our SOS icon, but the ProDoc icon, notice on my screen, it's not the actual ProDoc icon like you'll see here, the little PD. So we're going to hit finish. So when ProDoc is first installed, it's not finished with the process. It has to install this pervasive database engine. So the first time you run ProDoc, it's going to update your computer and install this pervasive database engine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and run this as administrator again, just to make sure that through every step of the way it's running with elevated privileges. So I'm going to again click yes, and now it starts installing the data engine, which is the pervasive WGE data engine. So this usually takes just a minute or two. And this is, most of the time, it's a one-time installation. But some of the technical issues that we've encountered with ProDoc, I think, are related to this pervasive. That's why we recommend uninstalling all the components, ProDoc, Small Office Suite, and Pervasive when upgrading to a new version. So here it says Pervasive has been successfully installed, but a restart is required before ProDoc can run. So we're going to go ahead and reboot our computer. So I'm going to stop this recording and then reboot my computer, and then we'll take up when we return. Okay, so now ProDoc, I've rebooted my computer, and ProDoc has its icon here on my desktop, also the SOS icon up here on the top. So let's go ahead and double click it. And so we have to put in the registration code. So I just go back to our website, and we go to paralegal.edu/ProDoc. We go down to the installation instructions. Again, this may look slightly different by the time you're watching this video, because I'm going to update the web page as well. So we're going to highlight and copy the registration code, and then I'm going to click it in here, and then I can just right click and it just pops it right in there. So otherwise you'll need to type in this code. Just make sure you do it very accurately. Obviously it's got to be precise. That's why I like to copy and paste it so I don't make any type errors. And then right here you'll see register. Notice it's got like a little icon that indicates it's going to go online to the World Wide Web. So you need to have an internet connection to be able to register this. So you also need an internet connection to download it. So we're going to click register. Okay, so sometimes this registration process can be a little bit tricky. So let me go back. If it doesn't take the registration code the first time, you might want to try it one more time. Let's register it. And it'll give you a finalizing registration, and it's asking for the firm name. Now, what it essentially does is just put in the last firm name that someone that's a ProDoc user entered. You can try to put in Center for Advanced and then you confirm that that is the firm name. It's the school name. And so the registration is complete. So we're going to continue and run ProDoc. Minimize this. And put in your initials. And since this is the first time we've run ProDoc, it's going to basically prompt us to say that, the initials that we've entered have not been used before. Do you want to use them? So we'll say yes. And what it does is when you log in under your initials each time, it'll save your settings. So at this point, we just put in the firm information. We use the school name and address. And then we'll put in just our And so this firm information, of course, if you were working in a law firm, this would just be the law firm information, and it automatically gets included uh, as the address quite often. So you can override that, of course, but we're going to leave it. So we're going to just say OK. And for ProDoc, when ProDoc assembles documents or creates documents, it stores them on your C drive under the clients folder. And if it doesn't exist, then it'll prompt you to create it. So just say yes. And that's pretty much it. So you can see right here in the, it was real quick, but in the lower right-hand corner of the screen, it said checking for updates. To update ProDoc and update the forms, you'll want to do this. Now, it can take an awful long time. I've seen it take upwards of an hour, depending on your internet connection. I'm not sure what all goes on during the update process, but it does take quite a while. So I'm not going to download these at this time, but at some point when you have time, you may want to download and apply all the updates. Just make sure it's not a time when you really need to use your computer. Plug your computer in, connect it to the internet, and let it run its updates. Some instructors prefer to change this quick click menu. So to do that, you go to Customize, down to Options, and under Miscellaneous Personal Settings, you can change it from the quick click menu to the Quick Start Assistant. So we're just going to say OK. It'll prompt you to disable the backup. We want to disable the backup. We don't really need to do that. So anyway, now you're there at the Quick Start Assistant. You have ProDoc fully installed. You can start assembling documents. It has links to Microsoft Word. If Microsoft Word isn't appearing here, then you'll need to manually add it. But typically, ProDoc won't complete the installation unless it finds Microsoft Word already installed on your computer. If for some reason you do hang up because you don't have Microsoft Word, install Microsoft Office. All students at Center for Advanced Legal Studies are provided access to Microsoft Office through Office 365. You can install, just exit out the installation, make sure you have Microsoft Office installed, then reinstall ProDoc or continue the installation, and you should be fine. So that's pretty much it, how to install ProDoc. Hope this helps. If you have any problems with ProDoc or any technical issues, open a trouble ticket at support.paralegal.edu. Other than that, good luck, and I hope you enjoy ProDoc.